Okay, so we're going to have a little play with the diesel tuning chip today. I've been driving it around on the map that it came on, which was 4+1, which is towards the top end of its maps apparently. I'll show you the little, they're not dyno maps, but they're sort of electronics maps that shows you how it's supposed to tweak the voltage from the sensors and amplify them to improve the performance, if you like, trick the ECU into fueling higher. Anyway, so what we're going to do is, on this particular model, I don't know if you can quite see, there's a little window on this side here which has a couple of LEDs, and you can see a few jumper pins sticking up there. So the way you alter the maps on this unit is to take off these torque screws on the back, remove the back unit from this little rubber gasket that seals it watertight, and then you can have a look and change the jumpers. So what I think I might do is take it, I don't know, I might take it up one boost level in map 4 and see if there's any perceivable difference between them. Right. And you don't need to faff around unscrewing the unit. With all the modern ones, they tend to have integrated some little membrane buttons on the front for you to beep, 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 up and down the maps. But not this old one. Although I suspect the technology inside is exactly the same. Oh, there we go, it came apart pretty easily. So let's pop that there. Oh, you can see there the little plastic windows come out with that piece. And pop him over there. Right, what do we want to do? We want to be able to get to the set of jumpers. So here we go. There you go, there's not a lot to it, is there? Bloody hell, there really isn't much to it. Right, there's just a handful of ICs on the board. In fact, we could probably have a little look up as to see what this circuit's actually doing. I don't really feel like I can be bothered, but make a little pick chip there. Okay, so there at least is some element of programming in this little chip here. Right, so in terms of our settings that tells the microprocessor what it needs to be doing, these two here are telling us that we're on map 4. Now if we get our manual, this tells you what all the little jumpers do. So if I wanted to take it up to map 4+2, I'd move this jumper along to that set of jumpers just there. I don't know if you can quite see on the video what I've done there. I've just moved it along this way, one set. But if you wanted to go back down to a map and curve number 3, so program number 3, I think you just need to leave in the jumper set on this side. So you would remove that little set of jumpers there. What you could do, so you don't lose it, perhaps is just pop it onto one pin. Like that. Can you see that or not? Just about. Okay, so all I've done is jump it up to another boost level. So I don't really know, but I think it probably tweaks the boost sensor to literally give you a little more boost. That's what I believe it may be doing. There we go, sits quite nicely back on. What I might just do is put 2 of these back in for now. And what I want to see is whether it feels like any difference, and whether it throws me a check engine light. Right, let's try that. So something I did just before was just check out that this little terminating dongle thing actually does work, and it does. I plugged it back in, gave it a few minutes, and started the car, and everything ran just perfectly fine. So this thing does work nicely to take the tuning little box off the harness. It's just handy, I suppose, if you want to take it out of action. So anyway, I'm going to replace that with that now that we've bumped up the boost one more level. What's it going to do? What's it going to do? Just to show you, what we'll be looking at is just in there, just to see the LEDs light up and stuff, and that the car doesn't throw me warning lights. Right, just give it a little spin just to see if it makes any sort of difference or throws me any lights. So what I noticed driving around with the car in normal driving, as in not sports mode, comfort setting, that's what it's called, I found that there was no noticeable difference with just mild amounts of acceleration. But in comfort setting, once you got your foot past 50% of pedal travel, as you'd expect, the car picked up pretty nicely at that point. Now, it's hard to tell how much of that is just me pushing the pedal further and whether the chip is actually having any actual effect. Hard to know. But in sports mode, it did feel pretty nippy. But it usually feels pretty nippy in sports mode. So, again, it's hard to have a trusted measurement of this. So it would be nice to do some 0 to 60 runs. I need to find a nice straight bit of road with no one driving on it. And unfortunately, today's Sunday, and this is the day people will be out, despite lockdown. Okay, so I'm in sport mode. I'm just trying to get to a bit of the lane where it gets nice and straight, and we'll be able to hopefully slow right down and give it a blast and see what sort of performance we get from it. Can't measure it at the moment, don't have the equipment and whatever, but just I'll give it an initial drive to see what it feels like. Can I feel any difference? Because ultimately, yeah, I can measure it, and perhaps I'll do a run with some 0 to 60 apps as well. But just for the minute, I just want to know if I can feel it with and without the chip in. Because if you can't feel the difference, it doesn't really matter, does it? Okay, let's slow right down. There's no one behind me. Okay, I'm at a standstill. Let's see what it goes like. Blimey. And there's 60. And it sounds like something's rolling around in the boot as well. Perhaps I should have checked before I took off. That really did take off, actually. Perhaps I just haven't done a standing start for a while, but that really took off quicker than I thought it would do. Right, it's not in. Let's drive the car and just give it a little boot and see whether it feels any different. There we go, it's past the first test, no orange lights. Right. Okay, so this test essentially consists of me seeing how much sport mode really puts me back in my seat. Now, sport mode always gears it slightly, slightly higher, lower, sorry, so that you've got your power band is accessible more quickly. So it's always going to put you back in your seat a little bit more in sports mode. That's the whole point of it. But how much? Because when I put my foot down with the chip a minute ago, there's a load of cars all here now. It really did take off, and I'll be honest, it didn't, not like it scared me, but it certainly was noticeable. Okay. Feel quite as good that time. I think there is a difference. I think it definitely feels like it anyway. Yeah, it went, and it went pretty well. But it went and gave me that little feeling in my chest when I had the chip on. It really it threw me back just a tiny bit, enough to make me go like, whoa, whoa, whoa. All right, okay. I wasn't completely sure whether it was all in my head before this, because like I say, the difference isn't night and day. It's not like I've suddenly unleashed, you know, some sort of supercharged V8 monster or anything like that. But the difference is, yeah, you can feel the difference. If you do a with and without run very quickly after each other, I can feel the difference. I wouldn't have said it adds anything like 30 to 40, maybe, I don't know actually. 30 horsepower isn't phenomenal, is it? It's probably 30 horsepower is enough to just be feelable. Feelable? Is that a word? You know, probably 30 horsepower is about the right amount you could start to feel. Anything less than, I don't know, 20 horsepower minimum, I don't think you could credibly claim to notice that. So, all in all, I've actually pleasantly surprised myself with that. Bearing in mind I've notched the boost level up one. So, I don't know if I'll play with it much more than that. I think I'm quite happy with that. Didn't throw any lights, didn't give me any rough running. I'm going to go put the chip back in now on 4+2, which is what it's on now. In fact, I better put all the screws in first, stick it back in, and I'll leave it and run it a bit more like that. And yeah, all right. It's not a remap, and it's not as good as a remap. Happy to admit that. And I still may get this car remapped. But just whilst we're in lockdown and the remap shops aren't open, and this was cheap, I think I'm happy with that. I'm happy with what I've got from it, considering it's probably a 10-year-old device, unused, bargain price. Plug it in and away you go, and you've got a little bit more excitement. I don't know what else you could say about it other than that. It does its job, doesn't it? It's doing the job. Anyway, I'm going to leave it in for a bit. I don't care what anyone says. See you later.